If you're finding a bit of difficulty, when you come into your plank, transition to your chest stand, and then think about sliding forward, but you feel like you only get it sometimes, let's break that down. Now you can obviously do this however you want, but a few ways to ensure that we're getting this is to make sure we're doing a croc position, to make sure that we have a nice straddle, and we're doing a reverse push-up when we come out. First and foremost is our croc position. When we go into our chest stand, a lot of dancers will press their chest straight into the chair, and that's fine, especially if you're gonna hold shapes there and you really wanna make it look a certain way, absolutely. If I know I'm gonna go into this straddle slide down, I don't hold there. I think about pulling my elbows in, almost like I'm gonna do a croc. So I'm pulling my elbows in towards my core, and I'm never actually letting my chest touch the chair. I'm pulling in and holding this position where my hands are pushing away, my elbows are really tucked in, but I'm not hollowing out my back. That way, I have a lot of leverage in my arms and I'm not resting weight in my chest. So from my standard plank, however you want to come into this, when I go to come down, I pull the elbows in. So you can see my hands are way off to the side. Sometimes we see people with their hands in the front, and that's fine, no problem, especially if you're gonna do a chest stand. I bring my hands off to the side and I pull those elbows in, almost like I'm trying to create cleavage. From here, my chest never actually touches, but I can still go into a pose. Second of all, once you're in that chest stand, we wanna think of the hip rotation. So from my plank and my chest stand, my hip is in a neutral rotation. When I go into that straddle, my leg comes out to the side. From there, I'm tucking the hips and bringing it into more of a pancake position. So if we're thinking of this, we're thinking plank position, just like you would on the floor. Then we're thinking straddle V, like you're seated in a straddle. Then I'm thinking continue to externally rotate but tuck the hips, which is more of a pancake position. And we want to pass through these, although we can hold them at the same time. So from my chest stand, I'm gonna think about starting to get in to my straddle. Legs come out to the side, external rotation. My hips are still on the chair. You can see that I can balance here. As I tuck the hips, I'm pulling them forward. Then I can slide down, and that's where our press comes into play. So the third thing we want to talk about is a strong press. This is basically a plank or kind of a push-up. Again, sliding down, starting with that plank, chest stand, which is more of a croc, open, straddle. Now you could start to slide the legs here, but I like to push the chest up and pull forward. So I'm really just balancing here. It's not super comfy, but I'm balancing. I'm pulling the weight forward, but I'm not arching the back. I'm thinking about tucking the hips. So as I tuck the hips, pull the feet forward, all the weight comes into my arms. I'm hollowing, but I'm pushing away, just like a plank. Then I can decide where my feet go. If I want my feet to come forward, especially if I'm in heels, this is great because they're already there. When I come down, if I want them to stay behind me, I just keep them bent. So let's throw heels on and talk about it. I have my heels on, which should theoretically add a little bit of weight to each of my feet, but not so much that this should be much different. Now I'm sliding down into my plank. Same thing as before, elbows tucked in, and I come into some type of chest press. I like to do toe to knee. From here, I'm gonna open into that straddle, start to tuck a little bit as I come up. Now if I bend my knees as I come down, my feet stay behind me. Does it look as straddly or wide? No. But then my feet are behind me, which can be helpful for the next move, depending on what that is. If you're trying to get out of this position, you're gonna keep your legs as straight as possible and end in what would be the beginning of a Stalder press. So my hands would be in front of me, legs out to the side, and I'm pushing the ground away to lift my legs. No, your arms are not too short for this. It is possible, it just depends on how much strength you have in that leg lift. So maybe you need to condition some leg lifts and some planks, and some pike presses in order to get this. In contrast, what if I want my feet forward? I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna keep my legs nice and straight. And then we'll talk about transitioning from there if you want your legs behind you, but you also want your legs straight. So I have my plank, standard plank, just like I did before, coming into my croc press. So my elbows tucked in, chest press. I'm opening the legs, starting to slightly tuck before I push up. Now again, I can balance here, full tuck. Legs come forward, hips down. If you want your feet in front of you, great, they're already there. If not, you can lean to one side, sweep a leg behind you, lean to the other side, internally rotating to sweep the leg behind you. No matter what you're doing with this, keep 3 things in mind. Your chest press, like a croc, your external rotation and hip tuck to slide the legs down, and that push-up or press to lift your chest. A couple pieces of conditioning that could be really helpful for this. If I'm seated in some type of straddle or straddle pike with my hands either in front of me or behind me, I'm gonna sit up nice and tall, shoulders over hips, and I wanna think about lifting both of my legs. I'm not hollowing and trying to maneuver around to fling the leg up. What will most likely happen if you're not used to doing leg lifts is you'll just squeeze and they'll shake a bit. We really wanna be using the quad or the top of our leg and our hip to help us lift. Once you've gotten that, we're going to press the hands into the ground. Now as I do this, I don't want to fully hollow out my back, but I do want a slight hollow and press so that as I lean the weight forward into my hands, I'm pressing into the heel of my hand, but I can lift my hips and legs. Doing a couple of these will be helpful for that lowering down position. If you're doing planks or push-ups, make sure your hands are about shoulder distance. I want to make sure that I'm pushing away, big hollow in the back, tuck in the hips. For this, I bring my feet together, but you could bring them hand or hip distance. I don't want to push up with my elbows out to the side because that's not the position we're going for. I want to think about pulling the elbows in and pushing back up. That's where my arms will be when I go to do the push-up from the chair. You don't have to go all the way down in your push-up, but just doing the push-up with the elbows tucked in can be really helpful. We're not gonna go over how to do a croc because that's a whole different thing, but if you practice some crocs, that can also be helpful for the chest hold. The push-ups are basically the same position, except your legs are behind you on the floor, so it's not as much weight, and that's okay. Put all of these together, try it a few times, and I hope that helps.